So this is the Britannia, the Club Cox Fours event, started in 1969, Club Men's Cox Fours, and we've got Sydney Rowing Club in the light blue on the far side, and Nonesuch, the Bristol University Alumni Club, on the right-hand side of the picture. The sound of nothing to everything, acceleration of these boats, and away to go.
Yeah, and this is a small boat, it's a really loud boat. Cox Fours are very heavy boats. They take a long time to get up to speed, and once they're up to speed, a lot can change in this event. A length lead doesn't mean much in a Cox 4 because of the weight of the Cox. The size of the boat means that you can make up a length very, very quickly. And this is what makes the Brit a fantastic event to watch as the week goes on.
Well, Sydney have got off to an absolutely stunning start here, haven't they?
They really have, and they rate him very highly. Their boat is not dipping much, and they're able to hopefully take this top speed, the transition into their race pace, and maintain that high level of speed.
See a little bit of rough water there, just looking at the side of the Nonesuch boat. Quite a lot of waves from river traffic going through there, and they're sort of getting a little bit disrupted by those waves, but they've got to stay in contact. This is a blistering start from Sydney, and for Nonesuch they've got to hang on. Thinking about them, they're the alumni of the University Boat Club, so they may not have had quite so much training as you'd expect in the university crew. Sydney on the Parramatta River, a lovely stretch for them to race on. Yeah,
it's a lovely stretch, and they've obviously come halfway across the world to race at Henley, so they're going to be fired up, they're going to be very competitive. And as you can see here, the beauty of their rowing is taking them out to what looks like clear water now, and Nonesuch Boat Club really need to kind of hold on to this rhythm and hope that in the next couple of 100 meters they'll be able to get closer.
Yeah, so here we look back at the start zone. You can see how far they've come down the track, and you can also see actually on the water here the silvery, almost mirror-like set in front of us, and then the turbulence that's created by the crews, and that's one of the reasons the umpires are trying to keep them apart, because you really want clean water. The rule here is you've got to stay on your station, and in the Cox boats that shouldn't be too much of a problem for the two Coxes here. Simran Gill for Nonesuch and Mietta Jones for Sydney.
Yeah, both of them are steering great lines at the moment. The Sydney Rowing Club are looking to extend their lead, settle down onto a lower rating rhythm, and kind of enjoy the next 400 or 500 meters up to halfway, and then see and evaluate whether they need to push any further or take the rhythm down and preserve the energy as you see more wash come in.
Tell us about how you have a sort of race plan here. So you might have a point of view, as you say, get off the start and then get into a rhythm. What kind of things will the Cox here be talking to the Sydney crew about? Mietta, they'll know that they're in reasonably comfort position already. Will they just be rehearsing till a certain point of the race?
I would hope that they would be rehearsing to a certain point in the race here. I think they've, from where the intensity where they started at to where they are now, they've most definitely taken the rhythm and the rate down. And goes back to the trust. Now they have the Cox to make the calls. The Cox will have to, the crew will have to trust the Cox's perception of the race and how they have called it. And Mietta has obviously taken the rate down, is trying to preserve as much energy for later rounds, and is giving her crew the confidence that they need to relax. Often when you're amped up to race, you often put in too much energy, there's a lot of tension, so when you get in this wonderful position where you're a couple of lengths ahead, you can relax, and actually your rowing improves for it.
So there's Simran Gill, who has to do some encouragement of the Nonesuch Boat Club. The athletes here can't see how far ahead the Sydney crew is, so it's up to her. As you said, the Cox does a lot here. It's like being a coach, it's a motivator, there's technical coaching to be given, but also information about where they are on the course. And at this point, the Cox has to help the crew to believe that they can still compete and to make a move.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there'll be two different roles right now being played in both of these boats. So Simran will be trying to encourage the crew that they can still achieve and still win and get the result that they want, whereas Mietta will be telling her crew that they're a strong crew, that they're confident, that they can afford to relax and enjoy the rhythm and enjoy the scenery, because there could be tougher races as the week goes on and as the competition progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the look of the Sydney crew. It is the club in Australia that aims to be Australia's highest performing club, founded in 1870. And there we see the back of Declan Glendenning, 21 years of age. In the bow seat, Thomas Hart in front of him, 20 years old. Rory Menzies only 19, and Alex Hoskin also 19. So it's a pretty young club crew here, but they're rowing with maturity.
They really are rowing with maturity, and they're rowing with such level-headedness, and they are very relaxed and edging closer towards that finish line. As you can see, they've definitely dropped the rate. They're in control of their rowing, they're in control of their rhythm. And that's not to say that because they've dropped their rate, they won't be able to accelerate back up. Whilst did say at the start, this is a very heavy boat. They look like a skilled, confident crew that if they needed to put their foot back on the gas, that they can take that boat speed back up to where it needs to be.
It sounds almost like you wish you were in the boat there, Mo.
Yeah, Coxed Fours was always a really exciting race to race. We don't do that as much anymore internationally, but the turn of speed that they were able to have meant that when you watch previous Olympic and previous Brit races, so much can change in the last 400 or 500 meters.
I was inspired to get into rowing actually by watching the British Olympic Cox 4 in 1984. My co-commentator Martin Cross sat in the bow seat of that boat, and boy did they move that boat with Steve Redgrave, Andy Holmes and fellow steward Richard Budgett in that boat. But today, well, it's the day for the men from Parramatta River in Sydney. The light blue vests haven't been too troubled down the course, and it's been a great way, as you say, Mo, for them to rehearse the race plan and just trust the process of moving the boat.
Yeah, so they'll obviously take away some evaluation from their start, how they felt. Just because they took the lead, they might not be happy with it. There might be some further tweaks. As we can see, Nonesuch have definitely taken the rating up here, and they're trying to push and make this a competitive finish. But yeah, Sydney Rowing Club will evaluate their start, they'll evaluate the transition, and then they'll look to maybe enhance that area of the race and then utilise the second half when needed.
So glance over the shoulder from Declan Glendenning, confirmed by the beep of the finish line as Sydney just about a length victory over Nonesuch Boat Club. So Sydney Rowing Club going through to the next round of the Britannia Challenge Cup.